Hello everyone, my name is VoidDoctor and welcome back to another episode on the InfinityCraft server. And today we begin today's episode in front of the castle foundations that we laid out last episode, and I've been slowly but surely adding on to these in the space between last episode and this episode, and I think it's a lot better now. I thought the sort of closed-in nature of the foundations before, where there are no real, entryways into different parts of the castle, was a little bit strange. So I've actually, I've been working, that wasn't supposed to be a gate there, so I've been working on creating little gates and things, maybe just small passageways even, into different parts of the castle, and then of course here there are larger gates where these walls are going to be. And in case it wasn't clear last episode, these walls aren't meant to be, they're not permanent. These block colors, these aren't permanent. I'm not going to use diorite for these buildings. It's just to distinguish which parts of the castle are which. So like the cobblestone walls, those are large exterior, very thick, those are exterior walls. These are interior walls, sort of dividing walls, creating different courtyards and things. And of course and also the keep is laid out in cobblestone, and then of course the granite is obviously the towers, just to sort of distinguish the different parts of the foundation. But moving on to this episode, today I'd like to get at least some of the castle, these foundations sort of built up, and I'd also like to test some different roof designs for the buildings on probably this, that little building back there, because it's small enough so that that's not complete yet. I made this building bigger because it was just so small, and they're kind of overlapping the walls, which I think looks cool. And I'm probably going to test a roof design on one of these two buildings, because this larger building is going to be this diagonal building is going to be quite complicated to make a roof for, and same with the keep. That's going to probably be one of the final roofs we do. And then I'm also going to build up one or even maybe both of these large front towers, sort of the gatehouse towers. And my idea for the roof design is pretty much mostly wooden, and then some of these will have other types of materials, maybe deep slate and stuff on them, to sort of add a bit of variety. But I would like to use a lot of wood, and I know that doesn't make sense in the context of a real life castle because wood's a fairly weak material, but this is supposed to be sort of like a fantasy sort of mystical castle. I was going to use nether brick or maybe bricks, but bricks were just too bright, and nether brick I don't have enough of. And I meant red nether brick, and I don't have enough red nether brick to make a bunch of roofs out of that. So unfortunately that's off the table. I might get enough red nether brick to make some of the roofs out of red nether brick, but definitely not all of them. So yeah, I'd like to get building up probably this tower right here, since it'll give us a pretty good idea of what the towers are going to look like. And in case you were wondering what these are these towers back here. I don't exactly know what I'm going to make these towers yet, but it's probably going to be some sort of residential area. This large tower here, and there's another one over there. They're probably going to be some sort of residential area, or maybe, yes, probably a residential area or something like that, because they're large enough so that you can actually fit a lot of beds in them, which means they're good for like living quarters and things, because they do have a fairly large interior in them, and I think the shape is pretty nice too, like the exterior circle shape. I'm a little bit nervous as to what the shape of these is going to be, if it's going to be too square, but we'll see what that looks like in the fullness of time. Yeah, so I'm going to go get some stone if I have enough. I don't know if I have enough stone for this. Like, I don't know if I have enough stone just to build up some of the walls and towers and things. I definitely don't have enough stone for the whole castle, but I might have enough stone for like a few sections of wall and one of the towers. I might have enough stone for that. And of course the keep will probably come later, because it's not a very thick walled building, so it's not going to cost a lot of stone, and I have a pretty special idea for what I want to do for the inside of it, so we'll come to that later. And just letting you guys know, this isn't what we laid out here isn't the only part of the castle. The reason why I think this project is going to take so long is because I want to have an entire underground, like massive passage network with dungeons and things. So this castle is going to take up many episodes. So that's why I think that, that's why I'm sort of dividing this castle up into so many episodes, is because I think it would be cool. Because I think it's cool if we have sort of almost like a mini series of just the castle building, because this is my first time building a real castle. Last season I built a smaller castle, but it was not really a castle, it was more of just a fortress. So this is my first time building up like a actual big castle. So yeah, we're gonna get, so I'm gonna get probably the front tower built up, and I'll come back to you guys with a progress update. And no, we're not gonna be doing anything with stairs or anything this episode. This is just gonna be very rough stone outlines of everything. And off camera, I'll probably work on a lot more of this stuff, so that next episode it'll be a lot more built up. And that way we can get working on things like roofs and things like that. Which is, I'm not actually I'm quite nervous for building up the roofs, because they're going to be I have very cool ideas, but they're going to be pretty hard to achieve on some of these towers. And also they're going to be quite a lot of these buildings in general are just going to be quite expensive. But the nice thing about castle building is that you don't really have to worry about things like, you know, building up little wood frames for everything like you do with, you know, those kind of builds. For castles, it's pretty much just mainly stone with maybe some wooden accents, but it's just a lot of stone. And stone is definitely something, stone and stone bricks obviously, but in the early stages especially, it's a lot of stone, which is thankfully a material that I have in very large quantities. Okay, that's kind of a lie. I have a little bit over half of a double chest of stone, which is most certainly not enough, so I'm going to need to do many hours of quarrying off camera. Alright folks, so I've built up this, you know, section of wall and sort of this inner courtyard, and I've sort of mapped out where I want the different tower heights to be at. And I'm especially happy, of course, with how these walls are coming along. These are just little sticks that are coming out of the tower foundations. But the scale of this, and this is obviously going to have a roof on it, but the scale of this sort of area, especially as you come in here, as it sort of starts to get smaller, as it comes towards the Great Hall, or whatever this building is going to be, as it starts to get sort of narrower, it starts to feel a bit claustrophobic and like you're sort of entering a very well defended area. And then this little courtyard is because these are obviously going to be walls too, this little sort of sealed off courtyard is very nice. And this castle is kind of full of little courtyards on accident, so a lot of these little courtyards are very nice additions. Like over here in what is probably going to be the residential area, where a lot of individuals are going to be staying, probably wealthier individuals are going to be staying, or, you know, just people who aren't soldiers and aren't like the rulers of this land, will probably be staying in this like residential wing right here. And maybe this isn't even owned by a king or someone. Maybe this is owned by like a, I don't know, just a very wealthy individual. I don't know. But this is where individuals who aren't the army and aren't the, you know, the ruler of this castle will be staying, and they'd have like this little private courtyard that leads to the rest of the castle all to themselves. And so the, you know, it's sort of like a little sealed off, you know, maybe a little meditation zone or something. But now I think I'm going to build up this side and see how it sort of feels to have both sides of this little area built up, and see what it looks like too, because I'm a little bit nervous if this is gonna look a little bit short and not very imposing. That's what I'm going for, is a pretty imposing tower. So we'll just see how it goes. And it's becoming night, so that's great. So I guess I'm gonna start building, and I'll be back at you guys with a progress update. Alright folks, so I'm actually really happy with how this area's turned out. I've added another one of these little you know, bits that kind of pokes out of the tower. We'll probably figure out ways to sort of disguise those and make them look better, because right now I don't think they look great, but they sort of get the towers a bit more shape and also make them look a bit, you know, more sturdy, because before they kind of just didn't look very sturdy. And I've also finished this little entryway. I don't know if I want to kind of shear off those final blocks so I can make the door here to the Great Hall a bit larger, but the Great Hall itself isn't massive, or it's not very wide. It's very long, but it's not very wide, so I think a 5-block doorway is perfectly fine, actually. You know, we could have it be slightly ajar or something, and so that'd probably look pretty good. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with how this front entryway looks, and it's definitely very claustrophobic in here, as I wanted it to be. You sort of feel like you're in a very well protected space. And in the future, definitely not in this episode, but definitely in the future, I want to have little basically battlements where the guards, why can't I land? Where the guards could stand here and sort of you know, like guards could stand and sort of look over this whole area and make sure nothing's going wrong here, make sure everyone's sort of behaving well. And yeah, I'm fairly happy with how this little entryway has turned out. And the next thing I'd like to do is work on sort of figuring out what a roof would look like for these towers. I know I said we'd just be doing like basic block frames, like, you know, no detailing, but I would like to see what a sort of detailed roof would look like for these. Maybe not even detailed, but just a roof would look like for these towers, especially these front towers, to sort of get the feel for how this whole front entryway is going to look like. So yeah, I'm going to work on a roof, and I'll get back at you guys with the progress update when I'm done. Alright, so I've sort of figured out what I want the bottom section of the roof to look like, because this looks very awkward right now. If this was the entire roof, why can't I land today? Anyway, this would look very awkward if it was the entire roof, but I kind of like that it has these little slits in the front, and you know, so archers who were standing there could sort of rain down fire. And this is a design that I've used before in other builds before I was actually on YouTube. I created a whole medieval city way back. I unfortunately lost the world download. Otherwise, I'd probably give you guys a tour of it. Or I lost the world. But yeah, so I've used this tower design before, not this exact design, but I've used design like this, sort of like this almost cage design, and it works pretty well. Realistically, you wouldn't want to have full blocks here, because it pretty much limits like a third of the archers' range, or you know, their field of view vertically, which is not good. So you in real life you wouldn't want to have that there, but it just sort of gives it a bit more shape and kind of makes it. It just gives it a bit more shape, makes it look a lot more substantial than it would otherwise. And these roofs, once we're done, they are going to look quite impressive, because even now, when it's not finished, these two front towers look quite impressive. And I could honestly die a happy man if this was how the castle was. I mean, no, I couldn't, but like this view already is quite impressive. So I am extremely excited to see what this castle looks like once we start getting some more detail in. Specifically, this tower. This tower I'm extremely excited for because it's so tall. So, like, imagine how much detail we could fit into a tower of that height, am I right? You know, actually, after seeing what just stone walls in general looked like without the InfinityCraft resource pack on, I think I'm going to make a modified version that doesn't have the Minecraft Dungeons stone texture in it, because I feel like it kind of ruins the point of having the stone bricks, considering that it's already very detailed and varied. So I think I'm going to probably after this episode make a modified version of the InfinityCraft resource pack that just doesn't have the modified stone texture in it. So I think it will probably make this the castle in general look a lot less messy, because it won't have the so many different detail blocks. It'll have the stone, which is pretty much just empty, and then 3 other detail blocks. So it'll look, or actually, I haven't decided what the block palette will be, but the stone and then a few other detail blocks. Traveling between all the different places I'm going to, I go to get all the materials for this castle, specifically this wood farm, just one like little tree area. It's taken quite a toll on my gunpowder supplies. I'm swiftly running low on gunpowder. This is a little bit scary. I don't know how long until I actually officially run out of gunpowder. Now, thankfully, Too Much Mustard is working on his gunpowder shop, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold out until he finishes that shop. This is basically just me asking you, Too Much Mustard, to please finish the gunpowder shop soon. All right, folks. So after constructing this first little outer circle, I realized that this shape just it's too small. Like it's just not large enough. So I think we're gonna make this sort of a the heck are you? What in the world? Darn you! You're blocking my. Okay, you're blocking my clip. We're gonna make this a square, and I'm gonna find some sort of way to kind of detail the square and make it less square later, probably in a later episode when we start the actual detailing phase. But right now, which is probably going to be next episode, but right now this is just gonna be a square, so it looks a bit more substantial and less sort of I'm gonna come out and say it just looks dinky right now. Like this part right here specifically just looks so dinky. It looks like it looks like you hit it once with a catapult and the entire thing would come crumbling down. Now, to be fair, these are only 3 block thick walls, which, to be fair, that's 3 meter thick walls because a block is a cubic meter. But still, this isn't the definition of the strongest defense, but this specifically would just come tumbling down if you hit it once with like a catapult or something. So I think I'm gonna fix that right now. Just kidding, I don't have enough stone, so I'm gonna have to do that after I go quarrying more stone. This castle's height is also a death trap. Just falling from this tower down to there, it almost killed me. I was okay. To be fair, I'd already taken a lot of damage from landing, but it almost killed me. I was at like half a heart, and I instantly regenerated it. But still, it's a death trap. I think these pillagers want to be the new test subjects for the castle's defenses. I think I'm going to go grab a crossbow and see how well defended the castle actually is. Unfortunately, while I was away grabbing a crossbow, they all despawned. That's actually a very missed opportunity to actually see if this castle is worthy enough to be even called a castle. However, I think we'll probably see more, since this is like the 7th time I fought a pillager patrol today. And I'm actually extremely happy with how this roof design is coming together, and I think on top of one or maybe even both of these sort of guard towers for the gate, we're gonna have a flag flying high, or maybe not even flying at all, I don't know, but somewhere on one of the towers at least, we're gonna have a flag, and on a kind of plastered everywhere, we're gonna have banners. I just need to come up with like some colors and a banner that I want to use for this castle, and therefore also the town. So I'm gonna need to do that off camera probably, and we'll see it in the next episode, I would assume. Hey, the skeletons came out to play. This isn't very good, actually. I should probably have lit that up. And here we are, folks. The front entryway, towers, and walls, or at least the shapes of them, are fully complete, and now the only thing that's left is the gates, like the archway that I want to put there, and of course like the portcullis, but that will probably come next episode. And I am really happy with how these are, with how at least the towers are right now, except for this isn't good. This just straight up rectangle, or yes, this straight up box pretty much. But the roofs are very nice. I think I might do something different with the little top spikes. Sorry, I didn't mean to go to third person there, but I think I might do something a little bit different with the top spikes. I think I might put like a wall, and then some sort of fence, and then an iron bar. I always forget what those are called, to sort of make it look like a really like sharp spire, sort of make it look very sort of impressive. But other than that, these towers are the two glaring issues. These towers are looking pretty good. I mean, obviously we still need to detail them, put interiors in them, things like that. But otherwise, the roofs at least are looking quite nice. And so I think off camera I'm going to build up a lot more of the castle, but I think right here is where we're going to leave off today's episode. I mean, we've gotten quite a bit done. We've built up the walls, got the 2 front towers done, built up, we haven't built up all the walls obviously, but we've built up these 2 front sections of wall. And yeah, so I'm actually really happy with what we've been able to achieve in today's episode, and I am pretty much making these back-to-back, even if they're not released back-to-back. So I'm making them back-to-back and then releasing them, a couple days apart. So, you guys have some time to watch the previous episode before the next one comes out. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. My name has been VoidDoctor, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.